The death of Gene Hackman, a Hollywood legend, has opened up a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. While the media reported that he passed away due to old age and illness, the unusual details surrounding his death and the subsequent attack on his daughter, Leslie Hackman, raise a series of questions. Is there a hidden force behind all these events? And why are those around him concealing the truth? With a series of suspicious clues, the security system being disabled, and strange actions following Gene Hackman's death, this case becomes increasingly complex and puzzling. Who is truly behind all of this? And does Leslie Hackman, the only one left holding the secret, have the courage to expose the truth? If you find this story intriguing, leave a 1 in the comments. If you'd like to dive deeper into this mysterious tale, leave a 0 and join us as we explore the details in this video. Conflicting testimony from family members. Gene Hackman's death initially seemed to mark the end of a Hollywood legend, but it sparked a series of mysteries that kept the public in constant debate. Official reports stated that he passed away due to old age and illness, with information suggesting he had been suffering from Alzheimer's in his later years. However, as soon as the news broke, Leslie Hackman, his daughter, immediately denied this information, strongly asserting that her father was in perfect health, mentally sharp, and showed no signs of dementia. This contradiction was not just a simple mistake, but raised a bigger question. Was someone trying to hide the truth or even manipulate the story behind his death? The deeper one delves into the matter, the more unusual details become apparent. First, the security camera system in Gene Hackman's mansion was disabled right before his death. This is highly suspicious, as in similar cases involving celebrities, surveillance cameras are crucial tools for verifying the facts. However, in this case, the entire surveillance footage disappeared without a trace. This raises two possibilities. Either it was a deliberate attack, or someone within the family deliberately erased the evidence. The reaction from Hackman's family was also peculiar. Leslie Hackman quickly confirmed that her father was not suffering from dementia, despite the lack of any public medical reports regarding his condition. The contradictions in the statements from family members have left the public questioning who is telling the truth and who is trying to hide it. Hackman's daughter attack. After Gene Hackman's funeral, Leslie Hackman was attacked by an unknown assailant inside her father's house. What stood out was that the attacker left no clear traces behind. She was assaulted, yet no valuables were taken, which led to the theory that the target was not her belongings, but Leslie herself. Was this a warning to her? Could the person behind the incident have wanted to ensure that Leslie wouldn't reveal any crucial information about her father's death? When police arrived at the scene, they found signs of a struggle, but there was no direct evidence pointing to the identity of the attacker. In a subsequent interrogation, Leslie described the details of the attack. According to her, the stranger appeared from the shadows, moving quickly and forcefully, indicating that this was no ordinary thief. Notably, he had no intention of stealing or taking anything valuable from the house. His sole target was Leslie. He lunged at her with such force that she was knocked to the floor. Leslie fought back, creating a brief but intense struggle. She asserted that the attacker didn't say a word throughout the encounter, but there was a brief moment when he paused, as if contemplating whether to continue. Then, unexpectedly, he released her and fled into the night, leaving nothing taken from the scene. This is particularly significant because if it had been a robbery, the attacker would have certainly taken something valuable. However, in reality, he took nothing and did not intentionally inflict serious harm on Leslie. This suggests that this was not a typical robbery, but rather an act resembling a warning. Right after the incident, Leslie called the police. When the investigative team arrived at the scene, they noted signs of a struggle but found little concrete evidence. There was no blood, no strange fingerprints, and no objects left behind as unusual evidence. Although Leslie had fallen to the floor and sustained minor injuries, there were no signs suggesting an attempt to kill her. If the attacker had truly intended to harm her, he could have easily done so when Leslie was unable to defend herself. However, he didn't, releasing her and quickly fleeing, indicating that he didn't want to escalate the situation further. The police also questioned the deactivation of the security camera system just before the incident occurred. This clearly couldn't be a coincidence. Someone must have prepared in advance, understood the home's security system, and known how to cover their tracks. One of the initial hypotheses of the police was that the attack might have been related to a family dispute over Hackman's estate. However, there was no indication that Leslie had received any prior threats, nor was there any open conflict within the family involving her. This made the case even more unpredictable. Another investigation pointed to Gene Hackman's relationships before his death, considering if there were any individuals or organizations he was involved with and whether Leslie might have unknowingly learned something important. If this was the case, then the attack could have been a warning to her not to delve too deeply into her father's death. If she discovered something about his death and wanted to investigate before alerting the police, she could have played another role in the case. Conspiracy behind Leslie Hackman's attack. With a series of mysterious details surrounding Gene Hackman's death and the attack on Leslie Hackman, an important question arises. Who is behind these events? A notable theory suggests that Gene Hackman's death and Leslie's attack were not random events, but rather linked to some underground force. Based on what has happened, there are many signs indicating that a sophisticated plot is unfolding to conceal something Hackman may have known before his death. Hackman was not just a famous actor, but also a significant figure in the film industry, with roles that exposed political and social secrets. This raises the question of whether he might have inadvertently become involved in dangerous relationships outside of this industry. Unverified sources suggest that Hackman had participated in independent investigations into sensitive issues, making him a target for powerful organizations. Documents released by the FBI also indicate that some of Hackman's close friends revealed he expressed concern and unease in the final years of his life. Gene Hackman, known for his discretion and avoidance of Hollywood scandals, became increasingly cautious in his final years. He once shared with a friend that there were things that should never be spoken of, but sometimes the truth needed to be revealed. These words not only reflect Hackman's inner anxiety, but also hint that he may have held a significant secret, one that he knew would be dangerous if exposed. Hackman's death has been compared to many unusual deaths involving individuals who attempted to reveal secrets of underground organizations. A prime example is Gary Webb, the investigative journalist who exposed the CIA's connections to drug cartels. Webb was found dead with 2 gunshot wounds to the head, and although the incident was deemed a suicide, Many believe he was murdered to silence him. Another case is Michael Hastings, the investigative journalist who uncovered military scandals, who died in a suspicious car accident believed to involve remote interference. If Hackman truly uncovered some secrets related to underground activities, finance, a political scandal, or even a government conspiracy, his death might not have been coincidental. Those behind it may have exploited his age and health condition to cover up the truth. However, if Leslie, his daughter, discovered something important, she could be the next target. The most suspicious part of the incident is the attack on Leslie. If the goal was simply to kill her, the attacker had enough time and opportunity to do so, but instead, they only created a threat without directly causing harm. This can be interpreted in two ways. Either the organization behind it didn't want to draw public attention, or they wanted to send a clear message that Leslie should not continue investigating her father's death. Moreover, the disabling of the security system before the attack occurred is not a mere coincidence, but clearly indicates that the attacker had knowledge of surveillance technology. This becomes even more suspicious if there was internal help, possibly from family members or security personnel. Another theory to consider is that this incident could be related to a conflict or secret within the Hackman family. As mentioned earlier, there is a clear contradiction in the testimonies of family members regarding Gene Hackman's health. His eldest daughter claimed he had Alzheimer's, while Leslie strongly denied it. This contradiction is not just a matter of memory lapses or personal opinions, but could be a sign of an internal conspiracy to alter Hackman's will or control his assets. If he were declared to have dementia, any decisions he made in his final years could be considered invalid, opening up opportunities for other family members to take control of his estate and inheritance. In this context, Leslie may have discovered changes in her father's legal documents and become a threat to those trying to cover up the truth. The attack could have been a warning to stop her from continuing her investigation or even an attempt to remove her from the inquiry. One of the most common causes of family disputes is asset conflicts. Gene Hackman's will. No one can deny that Hackman was one of the greatest movie stars of the 20th century, but alongside his fame, he also amassed a vast fortune, estimated to be worth tens of millions of dollars. His assets included real estate, film royalties, investment stocks, and undisclosed finances. One might imagine that after his passing, this legacy would be distributed transparently according to his wishes. However, what was surprising is that Gene Hackman made significant changes in the final months of his life, and much of his fortune no longer went to his biological children. According to documents provided by Hackman's representative lawyer, a few months before his death, Hackman made notable amendments to his will. These changes not only affected how his estate would be distributed, but also raised a series of questions about the true motives of those behind these decisions. Previously, Hackman's will had divided his assets relatively equally among his children and several charitable organizations. However, in the latest update to his will, a large portion of Hackman's estate was no longer allocated to Leslie, Elizabeth, or other close family members, but instead transferred into an anonymous fund. The identity of the final beneficiary remains unknown, adding further complexity and intrigue to the case. Who is truly behind this anonymous fund? If Hackman genuinely intended to leave his fortune to an investment or charitable fund, why didn't he publicly name the manager or specify the purpose. Legal experts suggest that this fund could be a way to conceal the true identity of the actual beneficiary. If so, someone may have heavily influenced Hackman's decision just before his death, possibly even orchestrating events so that he could not alter his will. As soon as the will was made public, a wave of outrage swept through Hackman's family. Sources close to the family revealed that Leslie, in particular, was furious upon learning that her inheritance had been significantly reduced. Even more notable is the fact that Leslie had an intense argument with her father just months before his passing. The argument between Leslie and her father, according to some witnesses, was directly related to the issue of inheritance. Their strained relationship over the years made it seem as though Leslie was attempting to intervene to ensure she received a larger share of the estate. Hackman's will was changed shortly thereafter, along with Leslie's strange actions following her father's death, leading many to question whether she had any involvement in his sudden passing. Leslie's actions only fueled suspicions. After hearing about her father's death, instead of showing grief or staying to assist with the investigation, she quickly disappeared from the media spotlight. Furthermore, security cameras captured footage of her returning to the Hackman estate in the middle of the night to collect documents and swiftly leaving after a mysterious fire broke out in a nearby area where some of the papers were burned. These documents are suspected to include the will or other important financial papers. If Leslie truly had nothing to hide, why would she behave this way? Not only that, but she also avoided cooperating with the police when they requested her assistance in the investigation regarding Hackman's estate. She provided numerous excuses to delay providing information, hired her own lawyer, and severed most communication with family members. The police also examined several unusual financial transactions in Hackman's accounts just before his death, and coincidentally, a large sum of money had been transferred into accounts linked to Leslie. This raises the question: could she have influenced Hackman's will for personal gain? And if so, was Hackman's death truly a natural event, or was there some kind of orchestrated plot involved? Public opinion has split into two factions. One side believes that Leslie is merely trying to protect her reputation and avoid getting caught up in unfounded rumors, while the other side thinks she is directly involved in the incident. The contradictory signs in her statements, her actions right after Gene Hackman's death, and especially the sudden change in his will, all suggest that there may be a conspiracy behind Hackman's death. If Leslie is truly not involved, why wouldn't she cooperate with the police? Why would she destroy documents and not react like a grieving daughter after her father's death? And why was she calm enough to have lunch with her sister right after hearing about his passing? These questions remain unanswered. The deeper the investigation, the more unusual details emerge. Another theory that should be considered: if not Leslie, then who is really behind the change in Hackman's will? It could be a mysterious figure who manipulated the situation, taking advantage of the strained relationship between Hackman and his daughter to redirect the assets in their favor. The anonymous fund Hackman left behind may not just be a financial tool, but also a means to conceal the true identity of the beneficiary. Leslie's attack might not have been a random incident, but rather a deliberate act to warn her not to interfere with the real estate matters. This is a common tactic in family cases involving large estates, using threats or violence to force a member out of the dispute. A final hypothesis could be related to Hackman's past. Although he was just an actor, Hackman participated in many films involving politics, crime, and conspiracies. If he inadvertently uncovered a major secret he wasn't supposed to know, such as a financial scandal or a corruption plot, his death may not have been coincidental. Dark forces might have wanted Hackman to stay silent forever. FBI's line of investigation. The FBI has met with entrepreneurs, politicians, individuals in finance, and even those in the underground Hollywood world, which is not only the center of the entertainment industry, but also a crossroads between art and power. If Gene Hackman had ever been involved in an independent investigation or had connections with powerful individuals, his death could have been orchestrated to prevent him from revealing anything. Looking at similar cases from the past, where famous figures, ranging from politicians to singers, business people, or actors, suddenly died under mysterious circumstances, only to eventually be forgotten, raises further suspicions. Could Hackman have been the victim of such a conspiracy? If Gene Hackman had tried to reveal the truth before his death, then Leslie might be the only one left who knows about it. If she was told by her father what he discovered, she could be holding a secret that someone wants buried forever, and if she knows, she could also be in danger. Analyzing the evidence and traces at the crime scene is crucial to unravel these theories. A case can't rely solely on speculation. Clear evidence is needed to uncover the truth. The police have gathered several important clues from the scene, Leslie Hackman's testimony, and other factors related to the case. Here are the key points to analyze in order to find out who is behind this incident. When the police arrived at the scene of the attack at Gene Hackman's house, they found several suspicious signs. First, there were signs of a struggle, but the level of violence was low, suggesting that the attacker did not intend to kill Leslie, but merely wanted to threaten her. The belongings in the house were not significantly disturbed, indicating that the attack was not a break-in for theft. An important factor is that the security system had been disabled just before the attack took place. In typical attacks, the security cameras would capture images of the intruder, but in this case, all the data was lost. This suggests that the attacker had knowledge of technology or received help from someone within the family or someone with access to the security system. The police also noted that there were no signs of forced entry or unlocked doors from the outside. The doors and windows showed no signs of being opened prior to the attack, indicating that the intruder had legal access to the house or had a key. This raises the question of who let the attacker in, or whether Leslie was being watched and attacked immediately after entering the house. The signs of a struggle were confined to a specific area, with no evidence of a prolonged chase or fight. This suggests that the attacker acted deliberately, launching a sudden attack to cause panic, and then quickly fleeing before Leslie could react more strongly. The behavior of the attacker is one of the key factors in determining his motive. According to Leslie's description, the attacker didn't say a word throughout the encounter, which can be interpreted in two ways. Either he didn't want to be recognized by his voice, or this was a premeditated attack with no communication between him and the victim. One important detail is that the attacker didn't try to seriously harm Leslie. If his goal was to kill her, he had enough time to do so, but instead, he stopped midway, as if sending a warning message. This behavior is common in cases involving threats or silencing someone. Witnesses indicate that the attacker left the scene without taking any valuables, suggesting that his motive was not financial. If this had been a robbery, he could have taken valuable assets from the house, but the fact that nothing was stolen points to a completely different motive, possibly to pressure Leslie into stopping her investigation into her father's death. Another possibility is that the attacker was hired to carry out the act, but hesitated at the last minute. If this had been a professional hitman, he wouldn't have stopped halfway. But if he was simply hired to send a warning message, his actions make perfect sense. In addition to Leslie Hackman and family members, there may be other individuals involved in this case. Gene Hackman's lawyers, who worked with him in his final years, might have knowledge of the legal documents he signed. If there were any changes made to his will or assets, they could hold crucial information. Moreover, security personnel and staff working for the Hackman family should also be investigated. If the camera system was disabled just before the attack, who had access to it? If it wasn't an external breach, someone from within might have assisted the attacker. Another important point to consider is whether Gene Hackman encountered any legal or financial troubles before his death. If he had any investments or associations with questionable business organizations, his death might not have been entirely natural, but instead linked to powerful forces seeking to silence him. Despite gathering substantial evidence, there are still significant gaps in this case that remain unresolved. Next direction of investigation. Although many clues have been uncovered, the case remains unresolved due to numerous unanswered questions. The traces at the scene, the disabling of the security system, and the attacker's behavior all indicate that this was not a random incident. To move forward with the investigation, there are several directions the police could continue to explore in order to uncover the truth behind Leslie Hackman's attack and Gene Hackman's mysterious death. One of the most crucial steps is to examine the security system data. Although the surveillance cameras at Gene Hackman's house were disabled just before the attack occurred, there is still a possibility that data logs exist on the servers or storage systems from the security company. In modern security systems, data can be automatically stored on remote servers rather than just on local devices. If the police can retrieve data from this system, they may be able to determine who accessed the system or who intentionally disabled the cameras before the attack took place, helping to identify the perpetrator and whether anyone within Hackman's family or circle of acquaintances assisted in this act. Another crucial line of investigation is to thoroughly examine Gene Hackman's legal documents. If there were indeed any unusual changes in his will or financial decisions before his death, this could be the primary motive behind the incident. One of the most suspicious signs is the contradiction in family members' testimonies regarding Hackman's health. If he was truly not suffering from memory loss, as some suggested, it's possible someone exploited his age to manipulate his assets. Reviewing his asset records, will, and financial transactions in the final months of Hackman's life will help determine if any unusual activities occurred and, more importantly, who benefited from these changes. An essential factor not to overlook is investigating Gene Hackman's external relationships. Throughout his career, Hackman was not just a film actor but also had many connections in other fields, including finance and media. if he had been involved in an independent investigation or had ties to any organization before his death. His passing might not have been a natural event. Cases involving influential figures often have hidden aspects that the public cannot immediately see. If Hackman truly discovered a secret and intended to reveal it, it could have made him a target that needed to be silenced. Additionally, an important aspect of the investigation is analyzing the psychology and behavior of the attacker. According to Leslie Hackman's testimony, the attacker did not intend to kill her, but only wanted to send a warning message. This could suggest that he was not acting alone, but was following orders from someone else. In cases involving threats, the attacker typically does not leave obvious traces and avoids taking excessive actions that could attract attention. If this was a murder attempt, the attacker had the opportunity to carry it out, but chose not to, raising the question of who had the motive to warn Leslie. She knew, or was about to find out, something that made her a target. If the police can determine who stands to benefit from Leslie's silence, the list of suspects could narrow significantly. With all the details analyzed, the most important question remains: can this case be solved? Currently, the case remains unclear. There are no specific witnesses, no direct evidence of the attacker's identity, and too many theories still being proposed. However, one thing is certain: Leslie Hackman is in danger. If she truly holds the secret of her father's death, she is likely to continue facing threats in the near future. This not only heightens concerns about Leslie's personal safety, but also suggests that certain forces are attempting to cover up the truth at any cost. A realistic possibility is that this case will gradually fade into obscurity, just like many other mysterious cases involving famous figures in Hollywood history and the upper echelons of society. There have been many instances where suspicious deaths were never adequately explained. If those behind this case truly hold power, they could manipulate the investigation and ensure that the truth never sees the light of day. Distorting forensic results, bribing witnesses, or simply leaving the case unresolved are all scenarios that could very well unfold. However, there is another scenario. If Leslie is determined to pursue the truth and uncover concrete evidence about her father's death, this case could take a different turn. But that also means she will have to face even greater dangers. If she truly holds important information, seeking justice would not just be a personal act, but a confrontation with powerful individuals who may stop at nothing to protect their secrets. Could Leslie uncover the truth before it's too late? Are the current clues enough to unravel the mystery behind Gene Hackman's death? And more importantly, who is truly behind her attack? These questions may never have a clear answer, or perhaps one day a new piece of the puzzle will emerge and bring the entire case to light. But one thing is certain: the truth remains hidden, and those behind this incident will not make it easy for it to be revealed. If Gene Hackman's death truly has dark forces behind it, then this is not just an isolated case, but possibly part of a larger conspiracy. A conspiracy where those in the shadows are willing to do anything to conceal the truth. But the most important question is, what will Leslie Hackman do? She could choose silence, accept her fate, and let the past rest, or she could continue searching for the truth, despite the dangers lurking around her. If she truly knows something about her father's death, her choice will determine everything. Will the truth ever be revealed? Or will it remain buried under the dust of time? The death of Gene Hackman and the attack on Leslie Hackman have undoubtedly left countless unanswered questions. Will the truth remain hidden forever, or one day will the missing pieces be revealed? What truly happened within the Hackman family? We can only know the answer if Leslie decides to continue seeking the truth, despite the dangers that lurk ahead. Who do you think is truly behind all of these events? And will Leslie reveal the truth or accept letting the past rest? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share this video, and hit subscribe so you won't miss any exciting and intriguing videos. See you in the next one. Hollywood was shocked when news broke of screen legend Gene Hackman's passing at the age of 95, alongside his wife Betsy Arakawa, 65, and their dog. According to authorities, Hackman may have passed away more than a week before his body was discovered. His passing not only saddened fans around the world, but also left a huge shock to those who worked closely with him in the film industry. One of the most deeply affected was Denzel Washington, at 70 years old. Washington has witnessed and experienced many events in his life, but the news of Hackman's death was something he couldn't have prepared for. If you're a fan of Gene Hackman and want to explore stories about cinematic legends, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment, and share your thoughts on this fascinating story. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next exciting videos. Below is the story of the ups and downs in the life of Hollywood legend Gene Hackman. Hackman is a name synonymous with outstanding performances that have shaped the film industry for decades. As tributes continue to pour in, one thing is undeniable. Hollywood has lost a great icon, leaving a void that will be difficult to fill. Gene Hackman, born Eugene Allen Hackman on January 30th, 1930, in San Bernardino, California, was one of Hollywood's greatest icons. Over a career spanning more than 6 decades, he left an indelible mark on film history with his exceptional acting and strong on-screen presence. Hackman won 2 Academy Awards, 2 BAFTA Awards, 4 Golden Globes, a SAG Award, and a Silver Bear. His iconic performances in The French Connection and Unforgiven not only earned him Oscars, but also solidified his position as one of the greatest actors of all time. He was also nominated for an Oscar for his roles in Bonnie and Clyde, I Never Sang for My Father, and Mississippi Burning. Hackman faced many challenges and setbacks in his early years in Hollywood, but through persistence and determination, he rose to become a legend in the film industry. In addition to acting, Hackman was an animal lover, art enthusiast, and explorer. He owned several collections of paintings and sculptures and often traveled to experience different cultures around the world. Hackman also found relaxation in outdoor activities like fishing and was a passionate fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Despite his fame, Hackman kept his personal life private. He was married to Faye Maltz for over 3 decades and had 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie. After their divorce in 1986, he married Betsy Arakawa in December 1991. Hackman's ancestry includes Dutch, English, and Scottish roots, and his mother, Anita Elizabeth, hailed from Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. Gene Hackman was not only a talented actor, but also an inspiration to many generations of artists. His contributions helped shape the film industry. leaving an irreplaceable legacy in the hearts of his fans. Gene Hackman wasn't just a screen legend. His lavish lifestyle was also a result of his incredible success in the film industry. His iconic roles helped him build a prosperous career, both in terms of fame and finances. In 1972, Hackman starred in The Poseidon Adventure and received a significant salary for his role as Lex Luthor in Superman, 1978. This not only solidified his reputation, but also earned him $2 million, an astounding sum at the time. However, acting wasn't Hackman's only source of income. His deep, authoritative voice made him a sought-after figure in the advertising industry, particularly for campaigns like Lowe's Home Center, which helped elevate the company's brand value. With an estimated net worth of $80 million, Hackman had the financial freedom to pursue his personal passions. One of his most valuable assets was a 12-acre estate in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which he and his wife painstakingly transformed into an architectural masterpiece. The house blends New Mexico's Pueblo colonial style with Spanish influences, featuring spacious and beautifully designed interiors, prominent tree trunk columns in the large living room, luxurious sofas, a modern sound system, and large windows flooded with natural light created the perfect retreat amidst the stunning natural landscape of New Mexico. Before settling in Santa Fe, Hackman owned several valuable properties. In the 1980s, he lived on a 25-acre estate in Montecito, California, which he sold for $5 million in 1985. Many years later, the property was resold for a massive $25 million. Another of his homes in Pebble Beach, California, was listed for $79 million in 2012. Hackman's passion wasn't just limited to real estate, but also extended to vintage cars. He owned an impressive collection that included a 1967 Shelby Mustang GT500, a 1957 Chevrolet Corvette, a 1964 Aston Martin DB5, a rare Bristol 401, a Ferrari, a Porsche 911, and a Rolls-Royce. Hackman also owned a yacht and a private jet, allowing him to travel in style like a true Hollywood legend. Gene Hackman was born in Danville, Illinois, where his passion for acting began at the age of 10. However, his path to Hollywood was far from smooth. At just 16, Hackman dropped out of high school in Storm Lake, Iowa, and falsified his age to join the U.S. Marine Corps for 4 years of service. As a combat radio operator, he learned discipline, which deeply influenced his acting style later on. After being discharged in 1951, Hackman moved to New York to study television production and journalism at the University of Illinois, but his true passion remained acting. In 1956, Hackman decided to pursue an artistic career by studying at the Pasadena Playhouse in Los Angeles, where he became friends with Dustin Hoffman. The two struggled together to succeed in the entertainment industry. In 1957, Hackman moved to New York, sharing an apartment with Hoffman and continuing to take on small roles in theater. His efforts paid off in 1958 when he landed a role in the off-Broadway play Shara. By 1961, he made his big-screen debut in Mad Dog Cole and had a role in the TV series Tallahassee 7000. However, his real breakthrough came in 1964 when director Robert Rossen gave him the lead role in Lilith, bringing Hackman closer to Hollywood. Hackman's career exploded in the 1970s with a series of outstanding performances, especially in I Never Sang for My Father and The French Connection, which earned him his first Oscar. Throughout the decade, he continued to captivate both audiences and critics with classics like Mississippi Burning, Hoosiers, and The Royal Tenenbaums. Notably, his portrayal of the villain Lex Luthor in Superman, 1978, and its sequels became one of the most iconic portrayals in film history, alongside his other powerful roles. Hackman also demonstrated his versatility by smoothly transitioning between action, drama, and comedy. His final film, Welcome to Mooseport, 2004, marked the end of his illustrious career spanning over 40 years. While fans always hoped for his return, Hackman chose to step away from the spotlight to pursue a newfound passion for writing. He published several novels, including Payback at Morning Peak, 2011, and Pursuit, 2013, proving his storytelling talent extended beyond the screen and onto the page. Although he left Hollywood, Hackman kept a connection to his military past by narrating 2 documentaries about the Marine Corps, Raising the Flag on Iwo Jima and We Are the Marines. This contribution not only showed his respect for his roots, but also allowed him to continue inspiring younger generations. Gene Hackman's legacy isn't just defined by iconic roles or prestigious awards, but also by the profound influence he had on the next generation of actors. He's a testament to perseverance, passion, and relentless effort in the pursuit of art. However, behind the glamour of Hollywood, did Hackman ever regret stepping away from the film industry? Stay tuned to explore more stories about the cinematic legend in the upcoming videos. When Hackman decided to pursue acting, he couldn't foresee the sacrifices he would have to make. Hollywood demanded not only talent and perseverance, but also an endless cycle. In 1956, Hackman was still an unknown struggling to make ends meet, but he was fortunate to have something more precious than anything else. Faye Maltz, a woman who believed in him even when the world doubted. They married and built a modest life together, raising 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie. But by 1967, everything changed. Hackman's breakthrough role in Bonnie and Clyde earned him an Oscar nomination and opened the door to becoming a Hollywood star. Throughout the 1970s, he continued to appear in blockbuster films like The French Connection and The Poseidon Adventure. His fame skyrocketed and money poured in, but his family was slowly left behind. Carl's home became a rare sight, and shared dinners slowly faded away. Hollywood took him far from his home, and Faye, his wife, patiently waited, hoping things would change. However, that never happened. After 30 years together, they quietly divorced in 1986. Years later, Hackman admitted, "I was gone too long," but his regret didn't stop there. If you're surprised and curious about the next developments in the story we're telling below, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a comment with the number 0. Now let's continue the story. In 1962, Hackman's mother, Anna Elizabeth, died in a fire after falling asleep with a lit cigarette. She had always believed in him, but by the time he found success, she was no longer there. If there was one film he wished she could have seen, it would have been I Never Sang for My Father, 1970, a work that marked his life at that time. In 1982, Hackman's best friend, Norman Gary, suddenly passed away. The loss not only left a void in his heart, but also sparked rumors about financial struggles. Hackman threw himself into work to escape the pain, from Under Fire, 1983, and Hoosiers, 1986, to Mississippi Burning, 1988, delivering some of the finest performances of his career. But amidst the loss and chaos of life, he found peace with Betsy Arakawa, a classical pianist completely unrelated to the glamorous world of Hollywood. They married in 1991, and this time, Hackman made a different choice, stepping away from the spotlight to enjoy a simpler life. While this quiet life meant no more on-screen appearances, Gene Hackman's legacy still resonates strongly with audiences. But what made him willing to give it all up at the height of his fame? And did he ever regret that decision? Let's explore in the next videos. In 2004, Gene Hackman sat down with Larry King and Ed L. to share his thoughts on fame. Warren Beatty is a star, Robert Redford is a star, Brad Pitt is a star, but I never thought of myself that way. Despite his humility, Hackman remains one of the greatest actors in Hollywood history. He left such a lasting mark that even today many artists admire and cherish his legacy. When the news of Hackman's passing at 95 was announced, Hollywood fell silent in mourning. Tributes poured in from colleagues who had worked with him, as well as from those who admired him from afar. Pedro Pascal, a loyal fan of Hackman, called it a tremendous loss for cinema. Viola Davis paid tribute to iconic films like The French Connection, Unforgiven, and The Poseidon Adventure, praising him as a powerful yet deeply nuanced actor. He was a true legend. Rest in peace, Gene Hackman. Although Hackman retired in 2004, his influence has never faded. When asked about his retirement decision in a 2008 interview, he candidly shared, "I never held a press conference to announce my retirement, but honestly, I won't act anymore. I don't want to do it anymore." In an industry where many actors pursue their careers until the end of their lives, Hackman's decision was rare. While Christopher Plummer once declared, "I'd rather die on stage," Hackman chose to leave at the right moment. Those who worked with him consistently praised him. Will Smith, his co-star in Enemy of the State, recalled, "He doesn't do much, but I couldn't stop watching Hackman. He has such a natural talent that everything he does feels real and effortless." Clint Eastwood, director of Unforgiven, called Hackman an intense and instinctive actor, while Morgan Freeman, who worked with him in both Unforgiven and Under Suspicion, praised Hackman as a generous artist who always elevated his co-stars. Kevin Costner, who worked with Hackman, recalled a moment when he pulled Hackman aside on set and said, "Watching you fight for this role, it reminded me of myself early in my career." Although best known for his dramatic roles, Hackman also showcased his comedic talent in The Birdcage and the blockbuster The Royal Tenenbaums. Nathan Lane called it an honor to work with him, while Gwyneth Paltrow, who played his daughter on screen, simply posted a broken heart emoji as a tribute. Even Prince William paid tribute, praising Hackman as a true cinematic genius, with his powerful, honest, and captivating performances. Hackman's final film was Welcome to Mooseport, 2004, which, sadly, wasn't a grand farewell. When asked in a 2011 interview if he would consider returning to the screen, Hackman humorously replied, "Maybe if I could make a film at home without anyone bothering me." But even though his career ended long ago, Hackman remains an irreplaceable icon. Josh Brolin once said Hackman always marched to the beat of his own drum. He gave everything to cinema, and in the last 20 years of his life, he embraced the privacy he truly deserved. For someone who never considered himself a star, the gratitude from Hollywood is a testament to Gene Hackman's legendary status. Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington, two legends, two Hollywood icons, may have only appeared together once on screen in Crimson Tide, 1995, but their connection goes far beyond that film. The most surprising fact is that neither of them has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a reality that astonishes many. Both Hackman and Washington have a deep passion for historical stories. Hackman showcased this in the novel Escape from Andersonville, set during the U.S. Civil War, while Washington brought history to life on the big screen, especially with his outstanding performance in Glory, 1989, which earned him his first Oscar. In addition, both made their mark in the Western genre. Hackman played a ruthless sheriff in The Quick and the Dead, 1995, while Washington took on the lead role in The Magnificent Seven, 2016. What they share is not only their incredible acting skills, but also their ability to transform each character into a symbol of power on screen. With 2 Oscars each in their careers, Hackman and Washington are among the rare actors who have succeeded in both positive and negative roles. Hackman won awards for The French Connection, 1971, and Unforgiven, 1992, while Washington made a mark with Training Day, 2001. Their versatility and depth in acting have made them 2 of the most renowned names in Hollywood. When they appeared together in Crimson Tide, they created one of the most intense on-screen confrontations. Hackman played Captain Frank Ramsey, who believed in absolute command, while Washington portrayed Commander Hunter, representing modern leadership thinking, always questioning every decision. This contrast not only made the film captivating, but also showcased the remarkable talents of both actors. Denzel Washington once shared that Crimson Tide was one of the most memorable films of his career because he rarely had the opportunity to directly face off with a legend like Gene Hackman. Working with Gene was amazing, and facing him directly on screen was the most exciting part of making Crimson Tide, Washington recalled. But the film isn't just a thrilling action movie, it also presents moral dilemmas. The 2 characters, Captain Ramsey and Commander Hunter, represent 2 completely opposing leadership philosophies. In Scene T, when their nuclear submarine receives an ambiguous order related to an attack, Ramsey believes immediate action is necessary, while Hunter calls for caution and verification of the information. Their intellectual battle isn't just about life and death, it also pulls the audience into a whirlwind of confusion. Who's right? Who's wrong? And what are the consequences of making the wrong choice? Hackman's performance as Ramsey was praised as outstanding. Powerful yet dangerous due to his impulsive nature, his character could explode at any moment, keeping the film's atmosphere consistently tense. Meanwhile, Washington portrayed a young but steadfast commander, someone who always trusted reason over emotional action. This contrast created one of the most captivating on-screen battles, helping Crimson Tide become a classic. Although the film was warmly received by audiences and critics, the U.S. Navy refused to support its production, believing that its content did not accurately reflect military leadership. However, this did nothing to diminish the film's appeal. In fact, it only made audiences more curious. In the end, Crimson Tide became one of the most memorable military films of the 90s. Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman worked together only once in Crimson Tide, but their collaboration left a lasting impression on fans. Interestingly, despite both being Hollywood legends with illustrious careers, neither of them has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. However, their legacy in cinema will endure forever, far beyond superficial accolades. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. If you found this story interesting and inspiring, don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any exciting videos. Leave your thoughts about Gene Hackman in the comments section. See you in the next videos. The sudden death of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa drew the attention of both the community and the FBI into a mysterious case. However, while the initial signs didn't leave many clues, there was one thing that couldn't be overlooked: Hackman's loyal dogs, Bear, Nikita, and Xena. Although they couldn't speak the truth, their actions became vivid signs, guiding investigators in the right direction. Their unusual behaviors, anxiety, and strange signs in the dark of night helped raise important questions. And perhaps, it is through these dogs that we will truly begin to uncover the answers to the unresolved mystery. Did you know that Gene Hackman's dogs helped the FBI uncover the cause of a person's death? This story is not only mysterious, but surprisingly fascinating. Let's dive into the truth behind this special collaboration between Gene Hackman, his dogs, and the FBI in today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next exciting videos. There are mysteries that cannot be solved with words alone. They hide in the footprints left on the cold ground, in the silent eyes of a creature that cannot speak but sees everything. When the Santa Fe police revealed the cause of death for Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, all eyes were on the details they disclosed. According to the preliminary investigation, Betsy Arakawa passed away first, and Hackman, in a state of cognitive decline due to Alzheimer's, may not have realized it. But amidst all the mysteries surrounding the deaths of the couple, one small yet shocking detail caught the attention of both the media and investigators: the mysterious death of Xena, their beloved dog. The case began when the police entered the house. A strange silence enveloped every corner, but there was something odd about it all. Only one dog lay motionless inside the house, while the other two dogs, Bear and Nikita, survived and were found outside the premises. Xena, a 12-year-old Australian Kelpie, was found lying in a closed crate, just 10 to 15 feet from where Betsy Arakawa was discovered. An immediate question arose. Why was Xena in the crate while the other two dogs were free, and why did it not survive while Bear and Nikita remained safe? The Santa Fe police immediately hypothesized that Xena was locked in after a minor surgery at a veterinary clinic. This seemed plausible, as many pet owners restrict their pet's activity after they undergo a medical procedure. However, this raised another mystery. If Hackman and Arakawa passed away first, then what happened to Zena? Investigator Aaron Phipps, a veterinary expert from the state of New Mexico, commented, "It's possible that dehydration and starvation contributed to Zena's condition, based on the timeline we are working with." But is that all? What's strange here is that while Zena was locked in the crate, Bear and Nikita were found outside, alive. Bear is a German Shepherd, and Nikita is a mixed Shepherd, both in fairly good condition when the police found them. Why were these two dogs free while Zena was locked up? Joey Padilla, Hackman's close friend and owner of Santa Tales, a pet care service where Hackman and Betsy often sent their dogs when they were away, was the first to speak out about this. Jean and Betsy were wonderful people and animal lovers. Those dogs were Betsy's babies. He described Bear and Nikita as extremely intelligent and loyal dogs. They were often tasked with guarding the house whenever Hackman and Betsy were away. This sparked a bold hypothesis. Perhaps Bear and Nikita witnessed something terrible in the house and tried to escape, but Zena couldn't do the same. The Santa Fe police faced a big question. Did Zena sense something before everything happened? Some animal experts believe dogs have an extremely sharp ability to detect signs and changes in human behavior. A dog can sense a person with heart disease, recognize the signs of a stroke, and even detect unusual changes in their environment. Could it be that in the final days of Hackman and Betsy's lives, Zena sensed an unexplainable event in the house? Could it have reacted in a way that led Betsy to lock it in the crate to avoid trouble? One hypothesis was raised. If Arakawa was indeed affected by the H virus, a disease originating from rodents that can cause severe lung damage, could Zena have reacted to that? Investigator Mendoza from Santa Fe shared, "We are still waiting for the dog's autopsy results, but we have not ruled out any possibilities." Meanwhile, the possibility that Zena was affected by something in the house, something Bear and Nikita didn't face, could not be completely ruled out. Rumors began to spread, and people started offering a range of theories. Did Zena witness something terrible inside the house? Was there something in the air or the environment that caused Zena's death? Did Hackman or Arakawa do something to Zena in the final days of their lives? Although the police emphasized that there were no signs of foul play, the questions surrounding Zena's death remain unanswered. The difference in the fate of the three dogs, Zena lying motionless inside while Bear and Nikita were healthy outside, led the FBI to pursue a different line of investigation. Was there something in the house that affected Zena? And if so, could this be an important clue in uncovering the truth about what happened in Hackman's house? The answer might lie in an unexpected place, Zena's body, and the FBI knows that there's only one way to clear everything up, to uncover the real cause of her death. Can you imagine that Gene Hackman's dogs helped the FBI solve a mysterious case? This story will amaze you and make you appreciate the incredible abilities of our four-legged friends. Let's dive into the details of this special event and learn how these dogs became the heroes in the investigation. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next exciting videos. In mysterious stories, sometimes the most important witness is the one who cannot speak. Xena, the beloved dog of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, may have been the key piece in this puzzling case. The only problem is, it will never be able to tell the truth. 2 days before everything happened, Xena was brought home from the veterinary clinic. According to medical records, it had just undergone a minor surgical procedure, nothing to worry about. But as soon as it returned, Xena was locked in a crate, completely separated from the other 2 dogs, Bear and Nikita. Why was only Xena locked up? And why did it not survive while Bear and Nikita remained safe? According to a neighbor of Hackman, when Xena returned home, it seemed restless and behaved oddly, unlike its usual self. If Xena truly had an abnormal reaction, could it have sensed something that humans couldn't notice, like a strange chemical, a mysterious sound, or a change in the environment? But if that's the case, why didn't Bear and Nikita react similarly? One controversial detail in the investigation was Xena being locked in the crate. According to some sources, Betsy Arakawa rarely locked the dogs unless there was a special reason. The separation of Xena could have been to recover from the surgery, but why was there no food or water in the crate? When investigators checked, they found the crate's lock wasn't fastened tightly, but it was still closed. Could Xena have locked itself in out of fear? Unlike Xena, Bear and Nikita were both healthy and found outside the house. If there was something dangerous inside Hackman's house, why weren't these 2 dogs affected? Another hypothesis was raised. Bear and Nikita may have sensed something unusual and tried to escape. Dog trainer Mark Stetson said, "Dogs have an incredibly keen sense of perception. They can detect changes in the environment even before humans notice. If Bear and Nikita felt there was danger, they may have found a way to leave the house before the incident occurred. But what made them leave without returning? Could they have seen or sensed something that humans couldn't?" Another hypothesis is that Bear and Nikita may have been released by someone, which could explain why only Xena was locked in the crate. If that's the case, was Xena intentionally left behind in the house? The biggest hypothesis presented by investigators is that Xena reacted to a dangerous element in Hackman's house. It could have been a strange smell, a toxin in the air, or even a sign of illness that it sensed from Hackman or Betsy. Dogs have the ability to detect dangerous illnesses in humans, from cancer to strokes and heart problems. Some believe that Xena sensed something was wrong with Betsy Arakawa before everything happened. A more frightening hypothesis is that Xena may have been affected by something that Bear and Nikita didn't come into contact with. If there was a chemical in the air or an environmental factor that only affected living creatures inside the house, this could explain why only Xena was impacted. The FBI began considering the possibility that Xena reacted to something that Bear and Nikita didn't encounter, perhaps a dangerous element in the house's environment. They expanded their investigation to look for any abnormalities, such as chemicals, toxins, or harmful substances that could have only affected Xena. This hypothesis suggests that something in the Hackman house environment caused Xena's reaction, while the other 2 dogs, being outside, were unaffected. But if this is true, what really happened inside that house? The FBI's investigation included testing the air quality inside the house, soil samples, and looking for any toxins or abnormalities that could have affected Xena. They hoped to find a clue that would explain why Xena was locked in the crate and didn't survive, while Bear and Nikita were healthy and outside the house. At the same time, the FBI also explored the possibility that Xena may have been affected by a factor that Bear and Nikita didn't encounter. This could have been a chemical or an environmental element that only affected Xena, leading to its illness or death. Xena's body was also examined for signs of poisoning or any unusual substances. Despite these efforts, the mystery remained unresolved, and the questions about Xena's final days continued to haunt the investigation. The question remains, why was Xena locked in the crate while Bear and Nikita were outside? Did Xena react to a dangerous element that humans couldn't recognize? Did Bear and Nikita detect something unusual but couldn't alert the humans? The FBI's investigation is ongoing, but it's clear that Xena holds the key to solving this mystery, even though it will never be able to speak the truth. As the investigation unfolded, Xena's presence in the house at the time of the tragic event led investigators to believe it could be the key to unlocking the mystery. While the two dogs, Bear and Nikita, were found outside the house, only Xena was locked in the crate, a strange detail that no one could explain. Did Xena hear a strange sound or notice something that no one else could sense? Why didn't Bear and Nikita return to the house? One of the major questions the FBI raised was why Bear and Nikita stayed away from the house at that time. According to animal behavior experts, dogs can sense danger in ways that humans cannot. If these two dogs were outside, it's because they sensed something was wrong. A dog expert mentioned that if there was a stranger in the house, they could have reacted strongly, and if there was a dangerous environmental factor, they might have instinctively stayed away. Whatever the reason, the FBI knew that Bear and Nikita may have made a decision that the people inside the house didn't recognize, to stay away from that place at all costs. An important step in the investigation was the autopsy of Xena's body to search for clues. This could be the key to determining whether it had been exposed to toxins, injured, or showed signs of reacting to something in the house. Tissue samples from Xena were sent for testing, and the FBI conducted a thorough analysis. They looked for traces of toxins, particularly any toxic gases that could have accumulated in the confined space. Physical signs, if Xena had been injured, could suggest a struggle or a tense event that occurred before it was locked in the crate. Pathological signs, Xena may have reacted to a health condition of Hackman or Betsy that Bear and Nikita didn't recognize. The test results were a shocking revelation. All eyes were on Xena's test results. What would be uncovered? The hypotheses are still under investigation, but one thing is certain. The FBI believes Xena was not just an ordinary dog. It could be the silent witness holding the key to the greatest mystery in this case. Investigator Mendoza concluded, "We are pursuing every lead. The truth will come to light." But the big question remains, what did Xena discover on that fateful night? And could it provide the answers everyone is searching for? In an FBI forensic laboratory, a team of experts is focused on a special witness, Xena. Not a witness who can tell the story with words, but every hair, every cell on its body may hold the answers everyone is searching for. As the FBI continues to investigate the mystery surrounding Gene Hackman's death in his home, they realize that the key to solving this case may not lie with the humans, but with the little dog that stayed until the very end. Forensic experts immediately began testing important factors on Xena's body. If Xena had been exposed to a toxic gas or chemical, this could explain many things about what happened in the house. One of the major suspicions is the H virus, a dangerous virus transmitted from rodents to humans through feces and urine, which can cause severe respiratory complications. If there was a struggle or a tense event before Xena was locked in the crate, its body could show signs of that. The investigative team is facing an important question. If Xena was truly infected with the H virus, could this be the cause of Betsy Arakawa's condition? And if so, why weren't Bear and Nikita affected? The H virus is one of the terrifying hypotheses put forward by the FBI. This is a dangerous virus that can cause hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS, leading to severe respiratory failure and potentially death within days if not detected in time. The virus is not transmitted directly from person to person, but is typically spread through inhaling dust containing the virus. If there were rodents in the house, the H virus could survive in their feces and urine. Direct contact with animals carrying the virus could have been the cause of Xena inadvertently coming into contact with infected rodents, bringing the virus into the house. A concerning possibility is that Xena may have been bitten by an animal in the house, possibly a rodent or another wild animal. If Arakawa was infected with the H virus from Xena, this could explain a lot, but the question remains, why weren't Bear and Nikita affected? As the FBI further analyzed how the other two dogs reacted to the event, they realized something concerning. Bear and Nikita did not return to the house, even though their owners were still inside. They showed no signs of illness or poisoning. They kept their distance from the house even when the police arrived at the scene. According to animal behavior experts, dogs can sense danger in ways humans cannot. Their nervous systems are more sensitive to toxic gases, airborne viruses, and even small changes in the environment that humans might not notice. If these dogs sense danger, their instinct would be to avoid it. They may have detected something that humans could not perceive. An animal behavior expert suggested that Bear and Nikita might know something that the FBI is still investigating. The FBI released initial results from Xena. There were no signs of injury or physical trauma, ruling out the theory of a struggle or attack. No industrial toxins or chemicals were found, making the theory of a gas leak less likely. Signs of pneumonia in Xena's tissue samples suggest a potential viral infection or exposure to an unidentified source of illness. The FBI is testing for hantavirus, virus H, and if positive, this could change the direction of the investigation. The case still leaves many unanswered questions. Where did Xena come into contact with the source of the infection? If hantavirus was present in the house, why didn't Hackman and Arakawa notice? Why was only Xena infected and not Bear or Nikita? Did Xena come into contact with something that the other two dogs didn't? The FBI is getting closer to the truth, but the pieces of the puzzle remain incomplete. One thing is certain. Xena was no ordinary dog. It may hold the key to unlocking the mystery. The police car lights reflected off the empty walls of the Hackman house. The eerie stillness of the space was broken only by the green tarp covering the remnants of the tragedy. Yet amidst all the mysteries, two of the most important witnesses stood outside, trembling in the shadows, Bear and Nikita. No one knew how long they had been there or why they hadn't returned to the house. What the witnesses described about their behavior when the police arrived raised chilling questions. According to a nearby neighbor, Bear and Nikita showed signs of panic before the bodies of Hackman and Betsy were discovered. The two dogs were running aimlessly around the house, as if searching for someone. They barked loudly at unusual hours the night before the police arrived. When found, Nikita was trembling, while Bear stood still, his gaze fixed on the door of the house. A local shopkeeper mentioned that the day before the incident, he heard continuous barking, but didn't think much of it at the time. He said, "It was strange because they usually don't bark that much, but that night was different." Bear and Nikita may have seen something that kept them from entering the house. Investigators are considering the possibility that Xena tried to alert them before it was too late. One theory suggests that Xena may have barked or reacted strongly to something inside the house. If Hackman was in the late stages of Alzheimer's, could he have understood the warning signals from his dog? Could Betsy have heard them but been unable to act in time? One notable detail is that Xena was the only dog locked in the crate. If Betsy or Hackman felt something was wrong, why would they lock Xena up instead of letting it roam freely like the other two dogs? Could Xena have reacted to something that its owners didn't understand, and they decided to confine it to avoid trouble? The behavior of Bear and Nikita continues to raise questions. These two dogs showed signs of anxiety and kept their distance from the house. Their actions suggest they sensed a danger and instinctively avoided it. This has been confirmed by animal behavior experts, who point out that dogs can perceive things humans cannot, such as the presence of toxins, gas, or even the emotions of their owners. But why didn't Bear and Nikita go into the house to help their owners? One possibility is that these two dogs, sensing a great danger they couldn't handle, chose to stay away. Another theory is that Bear and Nikita tried to intervene in their own way, by barking, staying near the house, and showing signs of anxiety. But they didn't go inside because they knew something about the situation that humans couldn't understand. They could have been reacting to a danger from an environmental factor or an unseen stranger that humans were unaware of. Xena's unusual health is also a point of suspicion. She appeared to be completely healthy before her death, with no signs of conflict or poisoning. Xena's tissue showed signs of pneumonia, which could be related to an infection, but there were no traces of toxins or chemicals in her body. The fact that Xena was locked in the crate might have been an attempt to isolate her when she started exhibiting troubling behaviors that Hackman and Betsy couldn't understand, adding to the mystery of whether Xena was trying to warn them about a greater danger. As the investigation team continued to analyze the behavior of Bear and Nikita, along with the findings from Xena's autopsy, the FBI believed the key to unraveling the case lay in the dog's instinctive reactions. Xena, as the most important silent witness, may have sensed something that no one else could perceive. Bear and Nikita's actions further reinforced the belief that they knew something was terribly wrong, but couldn't intervene beyond their anxious behaviors. This suggests that the cause of the tragedy could be an invisible factor, whether it's a toxic environment or an intruder that went undetected, that humans couldn't perceive, but the dogs did. Their instinctive actions provided crucial clues in solving the case. With the final official report from the FBI in hand, the case surrounding the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, along with the fate of Zena, remains unsolved. However, the FBI's ultimate conclusion is that the dogs knew more than they could communicate. The last hope of the FBI lies in deciphering the dogs' behavior, as their instincts may be the crucial clue to uncovering the truth, no matter how terrifying that truth may be. The brown envelope lay on the desk in the FBI team's office. Inside was the official report on the case. Everyone in the room held their breath, waiting for the words within to reveal the final answer. Outside the window, the sunset bathed the Santa Fe landscape in golden light. In the backyard of the local animal rescue center, Bear and Nikita silently gazed into the distance, their eyes somber, as if they were still waiting for their owners to return. Zena was gone, but perhaps it was the most important witness, the final key to unraveling the mystery surrounding Gene Hackman's house. After weeks of investigation, the FBI finally had the most crucial data in hand. Zena was not poisoned or infected with any contagious diseases, and the forensic tests found no signs of toxic gases or chemicals that could have caused the deaths of Hackman and Betsy. Zena was in perfect health before it passed away, so what made it the only dog locked in the cage? The unusual behavior signs from Bear and Nikita in the final days were also worth noting. Bear and Nikita displayed signs of anxiety and restlessness, especially the night before the incident, when they refused to return to the house. This suggested that they had sensed something that humans could not. One of the hypotheses the FBI considered was that Hackman's Alzheimer's condition may have led him to unknowingly lock Zena in the cage without realizing it. If Zena had tried to alert or react to an unusual situation in the house, Hackman may not have been able to recognize those signals. While these details don't provide a completely clear explanation, they confirm one thing. Bear, Nikita, and Zena knew something was wrong before the humans did. The dogs tried to warn, but who was listening? One question still remains unanswered. Did Bear, Nikita, and Zena notice something unusual before the tragedy occurred? Could Bear and Nikita have sensed danger in the air, causing them to refuse to return to the house? Animal behavior experts believe this is entirely possible. Dogs have an incredibly sensitive awareness. They can detect illness, fear, and even death before humans do. If these dogs behave differently, it's because they sensed something. If Bear and Nikita could speak, they might tell a very different story, but all that remains are the footprints in the ground, the silent signs of an unresolved mystery. The dogs couldn't communicate with humans in the usual way, but their actions spoke volumes, things we may never fully understand. After the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy, Bear and Nikita faced a painful reality. They had lost their beloved owners. The police and local animal welfare organizations stepped in to find them a new home, and soon, good news came. A close friend of Hackman agreed to adopt Bear and Nikita. They would not be separated and would have the chance to live a peaceful life after the recent tragedy. But no matter where they went, they would carry with them the memories of that fateful night, memories of things that humans could never fully understand. The story comes to an end, but the haunting question remains. Fans of Gene Hackman around the world continue to wait for a clearer explanation. But perhaps there will never be a true answer. The truth may not lie in the FBI's reports, in the forensic investigations, or in the speculations of experts. The truth may exist only in the sad eyes of Bear and Nikita. Zena tried to signal, Bear and Nikita refused to return to the house, and Hackman and Betsy could not recognize those warning signs. A mystery that may never be fully solved, but one thing is certain. Bear, Nikita, and Zena are the silent witnesses to an unfinished tragedy. When humans are deceived, the traces remain. The FBI may be left a step behind, but the instinct of a loyal dog is never wrong. Bear cannot speak, but it saw, sensed, and helped unravel a mystery that shocked the world. Sometimes the most important witnesses are not human. This story will definitely change the way you view the relationship between humans and animals in investigative work. Gene Hackman's dogs were not just loyal companions, but also indispensable partners in solving the case. Thank you for watching the video. If you found the story interesting, don't forget to share it and leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next video. Have you ever thought about a legend that Hollywood has almost forgotten? A man who not only changed the way we view cinema, but also quietly shaped an entire generation of actors without ever seeking attention. A person with extraordinary talent, yet chose to stay hidden from the spotlight. Today, we're diving into a lesser-known story about Gene Hackman, one of Hollywood's greatest icons. You'll hear exclusive revelations from Francis Ford Coppola, the legendary director behind The Godfather. Hackman's humility and profound approach to his work not only changed the movies, but also reshaped the way acting is done. Get ready, because you'll uncover secrets that Hollywood itself might not want you to know. If you find this content interesting, drop a 1 in the comments below. Otherwise, leave a 0 and share your thoughts on the video. Legendary collaboration. You know, there are movies that make you think long after you've seen them, roles that haunt your mind, scenes that keep replaying in your head, teasing you to spot the details you may have missed. And The Conversation by Francis Ford Coppola is exactly the kind of movie. If you haven't seen it, frankly, you're missing out on one of the greatest hidden gems in cinema. It became a legend thanks to a man named Gene Hackman. But here's what's really interesting. After decades of silence, Coppola finally opened up about working with Hackman, revealing behind-the-scenes truths that we've all been dying to hear. Honestly, for a movie lover like me, this is gold. And trust me, this isn't just celebrity gossip, it's truly captivating stories. Let's rewind a bit to the early 1970s. Coppola had already made a massive success with The Godfather, a film that was clearly one of the biggest blockbusters Hollywood had ever seen. Everyone was expecting his next move to be predictable, maybe something glamorous or similarly high profile. But Coppola surprised everyone when he decided to make a small, intimate film about a solitary surveillance expert who becomes obsessed with a specific conversation he recorded. That film was The Conversation, and the actor he wanted was Gene Hackman. Now here's something you might not know. Coppola wasn't even sure Hackman would take the role at that time. Hackman was respected, but he wasn't exactly the typical leading man in Hollywood. He was seen as someone capable of delivering powerful, reliable performances, but would audiences rush to theaters to see him in a strange, tense thriller about surveillance? It was a gamble. Coppola himself admitted that at first he wasn't sure. But later, as he revealed recently, something clicked after their first meeting. Hackman understood the role in ways no one else did. Coppola called it an immediate attraction to Hackman's quiet intensity, a power that was almost hidden. Hackman had something that Coppola now admits he's never seen in any other actor before or since. On the first day of filming, Coppola was nervous. Can you imagine why? He had just come off the massive success of The Godfather, and now he was choosing a small, almost experimental film, completely different from what everyone expected. He recalled walking onto the set and seeing Hackman transform into the character, and suddenly feeling reassured. Gene had completely become Harry, the quiet, lonely surveillance expert. Coppola revealed that at first he didn't even recognize Hackman, not physically, but emotionally. Hackman had fully become Harry, a man who spoke softly, avoided eye contact, and was obsessed with everything around him. Coppola said that this was exactly what he had imagined, but seeing it come to life was a completely different experience. And this is where things get interesting. Coppola recently described Hackman as not being the easiest person to work with, not because he was rude or difficult, but because he had immersed himself so deeply into the role. Hackman would often be alone between takes, silent and distant, as if he was carrying the burden of Harry Caul with him. At first, Coppola was concerned if Hackman was okay, wondering if he had pushed himself too far into the character. Coppola shared that one day, he decided to approach Hackman privately just to check in. To his surprise, Hackman smiled faintly and admitted that he had intentionally done so. He needed to feel isolated, alert, and a little uncomfortable in order to authentically portray the paranoia of his character. Coppola respected this deep understanding and realized that Hackman's quiet yet intense acting method was a large part of what made him so exceptional. Coppola is not a director who typically allows actors to improvise freely. He's known for being meticulous about his vision. However, Hackman presented a unique challenge. Coppola recently revealed that, at first, he felt uncomfortable with Hackman's subtle changes to the dialogue, not because he doubted Gene's talent, but because Coppola had a specific rhythm in mind for the scenes. However, the more he watched Hackman at work, the more he realized that Hackman was instinctively seeking something deeper. Coppola described a specific scene, a pivotal moment, when Harry realizes he may have unintentionally put someone's life in danger. Initially, Coppola had written precise lines of dialogue, but Hackman approached the scene differently. Instead of a dramatic response, Gene portrayed the realization through hesitant silence, a quiet physical reaction, a trembling hand, a haunted stare. Coppola vividly recalls that moment and realized that Hackman was conveying something deeper than words could express. Coppola's recent revelations have shed light on Hackman's deep commitment to his role. There were moments, Coppola admits, when he felt Hackman may have gone too deep into the character, blurring the line between actor and role. But every time Coppola tried to pull him back, Gene gently yet firmly resisted. Coppola confesses that he eventually realized this wasn't stubbornness, but Gene's unique process, a way to fully express the anxiety, loneliness, and obsessive caution of Harry Caul. Coppola now reflects fondly on those struggles, acknowledging the artistic courage Hackman displayed, a quality few actors possess. When The Conversation premiered in 1974, critics praised Hackman's performance as extraordinary. But despite Coppola's recent revelations, few knew how emotionally drained Hackman was to reach that point. Coppola vividly remembers the first private screening, sitting anxiously in the back, watching Hackman observe his own performance on the screen. Gene looked uneasy, almost seeing himself as Harry, which deeply unsettled him. Coppola shared that after the screening, Hackman quietly approached him and confessed that seeing himself as Harry scared him. Not because it was a bad performance, on the contrary, but because he had tapped into a part of himself he had never fully explored before. It was a moment of raw honesty and vulnerability that Coppola has never forgotten and has never publicly shared until now. Interestingly, Coppola recently revealed that Hackman initially felt a bit insecure about how his subdued and restrained performance would be received. Hollywood in the 1970s was overflowing with larger-than-life performances, dramatic outbursts, and bold expressions of emotion. Hackman worried that his subtle portrayal of Harry might not resonate, that the audience would miss the emotional depth behind his calm exterior. But Coppola reassured him in a rather prophetic way, saying that one day the audience and critics would consider it one of his greatest performances, precisely because of its quiet strength. Looking back decades later, Coppola openly praised Hackman's genius, even publicly admitting for the first time that he had learned invaluable lessons from directing Hackman. Lessons about subtlety, trusting the actor, and telling the story through silence rather than words. Coppola called their collaboration on The Conversation one of the most important creative experiences of his career, precisely because of the challenges Hackman brought to the table. Coppola humorously mentioned that working with Hackman prepared him to handle great actors later on, not because they were difficult, but because Hackman set extremely high standards for emotional truthfulness. The truth is, without Hackman's unique commitment, The Conversation could have been a forgettable thriller. Instead, it became one of the timeless masterpieces of cinema, and Coppola's recent decision to finally share these personal reflections gives us a rare, fascinating glimpse behind the curtain, revealing the magical tension and absolute intensity that made a film that still haunts audiences today. The personal side. Hackman was not your typical Hollywood actor. Coppola revealed an interesting fact, saying that Hackman was extremely private and somewhat introverted behind the scenes, which contrasts sharply with the dynamic and bold characters he portrayed on screen. Hackman was the type to quietly leave the set when filming wrapped, staying away from the glamorous parties or large gatherings that Hollywood is famous for. Coppola fondly recalled that after shoots, Gene preferred to sit alone with a good book, sometimes simply observing people from a distance. Coppola once asked Hackman why he always seemed distant or somewhat detached from everyone amid the chaos of the film set. Gene simply smiled and said that he enjoyed acting, but everything else about Hollywood, the bright lights, the red carpets, the glamorous parties, was never really the environment in which he thrived. He felt more at peace in quiet and solitude. Coppola recently admitted that it was this quiet confidence that set Hackman apart from other actors. Gene didn't need attention to shine. His talent spoke volumes more than any publicity stunt or attention-grabbing moment ever could. One interesting thing that Coppola shared about Hackman is that, off-camera, Gene had an incredibly sharp sense of humor. Coppola recalls that Gene could quietly make dry, witty remarks that would have everyone in stitches, but he never sought out the laughter. His humor was subtle, clever, and often delivered with a completely serious expression. Coppola described him as a hidden genius because you really had to pay attention or you'd miss Hackman's jokes. One interesting example during the filming of the conversation was when Hackman was rehearsing a tense scene. After delivering an emotionally charged monologue, he calmly turned to Coppola and, without changing his serious expression, said, "At least we know I'll never succeed in comedy." Coppola nearly fell out of his chair laughing because Gene's delivery was so perfect and deadpan. It took everyone by surprise. Coppola also openly admitted something surprising about their relationship that few people know. Gene Hackman was ruthlessly honest in his respect for the script and character portrayal. While most actors politely accept the director's vision, Hackman sometimes challenged Coppola, not out of ego, but for genuine artistic integrity. Coppola confessed that at times he felt threatened by these conversations early on, because Hackman never sugarcoated his feedback. But in hindsight, he realized that those exchanges enriched Gene's honesty and professionalism, pushing Coppola to always strive to clarify his vision and create stronger, more authentic characters. One particularly interesting moment Coppola revealed was when he first presented the script for the conversation to Hackman. Gene not only accepted the role, but spent several days analyzing the character, asking Coppola about Harry Call's motivations, fears, and even his costume choices. Initially, Coppola felt defensive, since he was the one who had written the character, but Hackman's questions weren't criticisms, rather explorations to help him understand the character more deeply. Those conversations led Coppola to rewrite crucial scenes, tighten the script, and add emotional depth that wouldn't have existed without Hackman. The revelations didn't stop there. Recently, Francis Ford Coppola also decided to address the long-standing rumors in Hollywood, specifically about Gene Hackman allegedly being difficult or temperamental on set. This topic had always been whispered about, with people wondering if Hackman's quiet nature and desire for privacy ever caused issues behind the scenes. Coppola quickly dismissed the notion that Hackman was difficult in a negative sense. While he did acknowledge that Hackman was strict and sometimes showed frustration if something wasn't right or felt inauthentic, Coppola emphasized that this never came from ego. Instead, Hackman simply cared deeply about his craft, about creating something truly meaningful. According to Coppola, Gene Hackman was never picky. He was just fully dedicated. Coppola shared a specific day on set when Hackman lost his patience for a moment, not out of anger, but due to genuine artistic frustration. They were filming an important scene that required precise expression, and after several takes, Hackman quietly approached Coppola and said he felt he wasn't capturing the essence of what Coppola had envisioned. Coppola was moved by Gene's humility and reassured him that he had complete faith in Hackman's instincts. Coppola recently recalled the defining moment when Hackman's humility made him realize just how rare and valuable Gene's attitude truly was, especially for an actor at the peak of his career. Coppola had always admired Hackman's respect for his fellow actors, regardless of their fame or status on set. Hackman made a concerted effort to support younger, less experienced actors. Coppola described a situation when a relatively unknown supporting actor was struggling to remember his lines during a tense scene and kept apologizing. Coppola recalled how Hackman gently intervened, placing a reassuring hand on the actor's shoulder and quietly comforted him, reminding him that he had all the time he needed. This small gesture deeply moved Coppola. It highlighted Hackman's generous spirit, something that is rarely mentioned in the public eye. Let's not forget the small but fascinating details Coppola revealed about Hackman's working habits. For example, Hackman always arrived on set early, fully prepared, and would quietly study the script on his own even during breaks. Coppola remembered noticing that Gene often jotted down notes in a small notebook. Curious, Coppola once asked about it, and Hackman smiled, explaining that these were little observations about people and the emotions he noticed around him, which he then subtly wove into his performances. Coppola admitted he had never seen any actor do something like this before, emphasizing Hackman's unique approach to capturing the authentic emotions of human beings. Perhaps one of the most memorable revelations from Coppola's recent reflections is how much he still admires and is grateful to Hackman, even decades after the film ended. Coppola openly admitted that Hackman had profoundly shaped him, not only in his career, but also in his personal life. Coppola expressed emotionally how Gene's humility and quiet strength had inspired him throughout his own career. He even said that he had learned more about human nature, compassion, and authenticity from Hackman than from most of the people he had known in Hollywood. So in the end, we can look beyond the legendary films and iconic scenes to something deeper, more personal, authentic, and humane. Thanks to Francis Ford Coppola, we finally know that Gene Hackman is not only a great actor, but also a genuinely kind, thoughtful, and introverted person. Qualities in his real life that have had a profound impact on those around him. These revelations from Coppola have only deepened my admiration for Gene Hackman, and whether you're a longtime fan of his work or simply curious about a Hollywood legend, understanding Hackman through Coppola's perspective will enrich your appreciation for both men. Stories like these remind us of the reason we love cinema in the first place, not just for entertainment, but for the rare glimpses they offer us into the extraordinary lives of remarkable people. Artistic influence and legacy. Right after Coppola shared his insightful and moving thoughts about Gene Hackman, he delved into something even more fascinating: the broader impact of Hackman on the film industry. I'm not joking when I say that Coppola ultimately revealed everything he had quietly observed about Hackman's influence on Hollywood, and frankly, it's far deeper than most people realize. He wasn't the kind of actor who intentionally set out to shape cinema. Hackman did it naturally, simply by becoming exceptionally good at what he did. Coppola described Hackman's style as subtle and authentic, a kind of talent that sneaks up on you, with nothing flashy or forced, yet incredibly powerful. In fact, Coppola admitted that he was always quietly amazed by how Hackman transformed ordinary roles into iconic characters. According to Coppola, Hackman had a unique acting style that helped shape filmmaking during Hollywood's golden age in the 1970s, when cinema became more grounded and less glamorous. In that era, actors like Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, and Jack Nicholson redefined cinema. But Coppola revealed that Hackman was just as important, though less frequently mentioned. Coppola described Hackman as an actor's actor, a quiet mentor with a far-reaching influence who didn't need to make bold proclamations to leave his mark. This is something truly surprising, as Coppola revealed that many actors we now consider legends privately admired Hackman, though these praises were never publicly voiced. Coppola recently shared a previously unknown story about a young Al Pacino, just starting out with The Godfather, who approached Coppola privately after watching Hackman in The Conversation. Pacino was genuinely captivated and asked Coppola how Hackman could manage to be so authentic on screen. Coppola smiled as he recalled and told Pacino that the secret was quite simple. Hackman didn't pretend, he just lived in the moment. Pacino quietly admitted that Hackman's approach had a profound impact on his future performances, particularly in films like Dog Day Afternoon. And Pacino was not alone. Coppola also remembered similar moments with other well-known actors who had quietly expressed their admiration for Hackman's subtle yet powerful performances. Dustin Hoffman once shared with Coppola that Hackman's portrayal of Harry had changed the way he viewed character development. Hoffman admired Hackman's confidence in trusting silence, and Coppola explained that Hackman had mastered the art of letting silence speak louder than words. This led Coppola to discuss why Hackman never received the widespread recognition from Hollywood that contemporaries like Robert De Niro or Jack Nicholson did. Coppola openly admitted his disappointment about this, stating that Hackman's versatility was unmatched. He even went so far as to say that Hackman could convincingly take on any role, from a quiet boss to a charismatic leader with unparalleled realism. However, Hollywood often overlooked Hackman in favor of flashier actors. Coppola believes that one of the reasons Hackman didn't gain more attention is because he never sought fame. He wasn't interested in popularity or status. Hackman focused solely on storytelling. Coppola shares that Hackman turned down many famous roles which later became career-defining performances for other stars. A notable example Coppola reveals is that Hackman quietly declined the role of Hannibal Lecter before it went to Anthony Hopkins. Coppola emphasizes that Hackman simply didn't feel comfortable with the role and quietly walked away, never publicly mentioning it. Not only praising Hackman's acting, Coppola also shared his views on Hackman's approach to storytelling, which had a profound impact on his own directing style. Coppola admits that Hackman taught him more about capturing genuine human emotion than any film school could. Even throughout his career, Coppola has used Hackman as a benchmark, comparing the performances of young actors to the honesty and naturalness that Hackman always brought to the screen. Another fascinating story Coppola shared was a moment on set when Hackman disagreed with a cinematographer's lighting choice. Hackman approached Coppola respectfully and said that the lighting seemed unrealistic and distracting. Coppola was initially surprised, as very few actors questioned technical aspects. But Hackman explained that if the lighting wasn't realistic, the audience would lose emotional connection. Coppola decided to trust Hackman's instincts and changed the lighting, eventually realizing that Hackman was right. This demonstrated Hackman's deep understanding of the entire filmmaking process, not just acting. Coppola also shared about Hackman's influence on young filmmakers like Steven Spielberg. Coppola recalled that Spielberg frequently visited the set of The Conversation and observed Hackman. Spielberg admitted that watching Hackman shaped the way he approached storytelling, particularly in creating believable, relatable characters. Coppola emphasized that this was a clear example of Hackman's subtle yet profound influence, not only in his own films, but also in how Hollywood portrayed complex characters. Before Hackman, many lead characters in Hollywood were often straightforward heroes or simple villains, lacking emotional depth. However, Hackman, through films like The French Connection and The Conversation, revolutionized how Hollywood approached realism. Coppola shared that Hackman's ability to portray complex characters not only shaped performances in cinema, but also paved the way for more emotionally nuanced characters, especially on today's television and streaming platforms. Coppola even humorously admitted that today's audiences might not realize that many of their favorite characters, with the emotional depth they bring, actually stem from Hackman's groundbreaking performances. Coppola also took some time to explain why Hackman's legacy isn't as publicly acknowledged as that of other great actors. According to Coppola, part of the reason is that Hackman never sought attention or praise. He simply loved the craft and created memorable performances. Coppola openly admitted that Hackman's humility shaped his own perspective on success and authenticity in the industry. Coppola shared a moment when he met Hackman at a quiet cafe in San Francisco, where Hackman confessed that he intentionally distanced himself from Hollywood to protect his creative spirit. This moment resonated deeply with Coppola, making him realize that Hackman's humility and self-awareness were rare in Hollywood, an industry notorious for its egos. Coppola shared that after working with Hackman, he learned to trust actors more, to listen carefully, and to respect their instincts. Coppola admitted that whenever he faced challenges in his career, he would ask himself how Hackman would handle the situation, and that question helped him overcome obstacles in his work. Ultimately, Coppola's recent decision to share these very private stories about Hackman has provided invaluable insight into his true appreciation for Hackman's talent and legacy. His humility, integrity, and lasting influence have forever changed Hollywood. Coppola acknowledges that Hollywood often overlooks actors like Hackman because they shy away from the spotlight, but their silent impact is unparalleled. These reflections by Coppola are not only about sharing untold Hollywood stories, but also a reminder that true greatness doesn't always come from fame or public recognition, but from the quiet influence each person leaves behind. And in Coppola's eyes, Hackman has left an extraordinary legacy, built on humility, integrity, and true artistry. If you find the stories about Gene Hackman and his profound influence on Hollywood fascinating, don't forget to leave a comment below. What do you think about Hackman's humility and quiet impact on the film industry? Has Hollywood truly given legends like him the recognition they deserve? Share your thoughts and be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more captivating stories.